In a small town called Edi, there lived a humble hunter named Obi. Obi was poor and lived in a thatch house beside the village river all by himself. He was known for his remarkably kind heart. In fact, he was so kind-hearted that he would set free some of the animals caught by his trap. One day, as he was pursuing a rabbit deeper into the forest than he had ever gone before, he stumbled upon a peculiar sight, a large, ornate iron box, half buried and hidden beneath a thick blanket of leaves and moss. He was confused at first, unsure whether he should touch it or check its contents. Curiosity piqued, and Obi cautiously approached and opened the box. His eyes widened in disbelief as he gazed upon an outstanding collection of gold coins, sparkling jewels, and exquisite ornaments. He was so shocked that he fell to the ground, covering his mouth with his hand to avoid screaming out loud. The sheer value of the treasure in the box could make him the richest man not just in his town but also in the neighboring towns. He quickly closed the box and thought about how to carry it home without running into his fellow hunters or any other villagers. But then again, he wondered, who owns this? Is it lost? Is the owner searching for it? Or am I just being blessed by the heavens? He didn't have the answers to any of these questions, but he was sure he had to take it home and then decide what to do with it. As Obi sat by the flickering fire that evening, the weight of his discovery pressed heavily upon him. Should he report the treasure to the elders, as the law dictated, or should he keep it for himself and finally escape the grip of poverty? He couldn't decide, and the dilemma gnawed at him. The next day, Obi decided to go about his regular activities, keeping his ears to the ground for any news of the treasure's owner. By evening, while gathering firewood in the nearby bush for making his dinner, Obi encountered a small white squirrel staring insistently at him. The squirrel seemed unusually lively, and Obi admired it as he went about his duty. Suddenly, the squirrel jumped onto a tree branch close to Obi. "You need to report the treasure you discovered to the elders of the town," said the squirrel. Obi was startled. He stopped and looked at the squirrel, its eyes beaming with certainty. "I have never seen a talking animal before. How is this possible?" Obi said in shock. "Report the treasure to the elders. The owner of the treasure will be revealed once you return the box," the squirrel repeated, ignoring Obi's astonishment. The white squirrel then hopped onto another tree branch and vanished into thin air. Obi quickly picked up his firewood and ran back to his house, terrified by the chilling encounter with the squirrel. On the third day, Obi was torn between his conscience and his desires. The thoughts weighed him down so much that he didn't go out to hunt. He lay on a mat outside his hut, thinking about what to do next. Unknown to Obi, the treasure he had found belonged to a goddess named Aku, who had been banished by a spell cast by a wicked witch that had held the town captive. The wicked witch had passed away without revoking the spell, and so the hidden treasure was the only way to break the spell and release Aku, the beautiful goddess responsible for bringing prosperity to the town. The spell would be broken only when a mortal discovered the treasure and chose to act with pure intentions. For 6 long days and nights, Obi wrestled with his decision. He could keep the treasure and become wealthier than he had ever imagined, or he could report his discovery to the elders without any hope of compensation. The possibility of remaining poor after discovering such riches made the decision even tougher. Each passing moment felt like an eternity, and the weight of the choice pressed down on him. Finally, on the 7th day, he stood by the entrance of his hut and thought about the pain he would cause the owner if he decided to keep the treasure for himself. At that moment, his kind heart won over his selfish desire. He picked up the iron box and headed to the house of the eldest man in town. He handed the box over to the elders, who were very surprised and amazed that a poor hunter would be decent enough to report such a great treasure. Just as they were deliberating on how to consult the town's priest and return the box to the abandoned home of the goddess, a strong wind engulfed the entire village, and a brilliant light erupted from the ground. The spell was broken, and Aku, the goddess, appeared before them, her radiant presence filling their midst. The villagers erupted with joy, cheering and clapping as they looked at the goddess with admiration. Brave and honest Obi, Aku spoke with a voice like tinkling bells. Your selfless act has freed me from the spell that held me hostage for over a decade. For your integrity and kindness, I shall reward you. With a wave of her hand, Aku transformed Obi's tattered clothes into garments of fine silk and adorned him with jewels more splendid than those in the box. She also granted him a small bag that, no matter how much he took from it, would always be full of gold coins. The villagers were amazed at the wonders they were beholding. They were very grateful to Obi and also happy for him for the rewards the goddess had gifted him. Obi became renowned as a man of great wealth and honor. He used his newfound riches to improve the lives of his fellow villagers, providing food to the less privileged. Aku, the goddess, continued to bless the inhabitants of Id who approached her with clear and sincere intentions. And so, the humble hunter became a beloved figure in the village. His story of integrity and generosity was passed down through generations, a reminder that true wealth lies in the purity of one's heart. This is the end of my story. I hope you learned something from this story. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button. Be a part of my growth. Turn on the notifications so that when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your consistent support.